Hey everyone. Have you noticed this? We have so much information, right? We have more information than any generation in human history. We have more books, we have more websites, we have more YouTube videos, we have more tools, we have more technology. And if you want to learn gardening, food preservation, homesteading, raising livestock, collecting rainwater, any preparedness skill imaginable, the information is out there. And yet, sometimes it just feels harder than ever to become self reliant. And I've been thinking about this lately because this year we're in a new environment. So we planted about 45 tomato and pepper plants. And we have a fairly large garden this year compared to previous years. We're learning, we're experimenting, we've made a few mistakes, we're trying new things. And yet now we're already dealing with water restrictions. And then at the same time, the food costs are continuing to rise. Farmers and small producers, they're facing challenges. And it just got me thinking, how can we have more knowledge, more tools, and more technology than ever before? And yet it still feels like self-reliance is becoming more difficult. And then I think, like, when people think about self-reliance, they often imagine complete independence. Got to grow your own food, collect your own water, produce your own power. You don't need nobody for nothing. But I wonder if that's the wrong goal. I wonder because every gardener, every farmer, every homesteader, every prepper, they still operate within a larger system, like weather, water, economics, infrastructure. And the reality is that self-reliance has never really happened in a vacuum, right? And maybe that's something that we've kind of forgotten. And I think that there's a couple obvious reasons. Like the first one is almost everything costs more than it did just a few years ago. Seeds, tools, fuel, feed, equipment. Most people, they can grow food. The challenge is doing it affordably and consistently. And so if you've been gardening or homesteading for any length of time, you have probably felt this yourself as well. And then I think, like, the second reason, and it's probably one of the hardest lessons to learn, is that you can do everything right, but you can still have setbacks like a drought, a late frost, pest, disease, flooding, wildfire smoke, crop failures. And sometimes the challenge isn't what you're doing, it's just what happens around you. I mean, that's just the reality. The reality is that these farmers have always faced this. The gardeners have always faced this. But maybe it's one of the reasons that resilience just matters just as much as self-reliance. One thing that I've come to realize is that maybe self-reliance was never supposed to be that easy. Every generation has faced challenges. The challenges change, but the reality doesn't. You know, like 100 years ago, it might have been a drought, crop failures, or limited access to equipment, right? In today's environment, we're dealing like with rising costs, supply chain issues, water restrictions, a whole host of other challenges. But the goal hasn't changed. The goal, it's not to eliminate every problem, right? But the goal, I'm learning, is to become more capable of dealing with those problems. And maybe that's really what preparedness is all about, right? There is good news though, because the good news is that we don't have to figure out everything ourselves. We can learn from people who have already made the mistakes. We can learn from people who have already solved the problems. And honestly, I think that that's one of the reasons that I remain optimistic, because every year I see more people starting gardens. I see more people learning skills, including myself, preserving food and becoming more involved in their local communities. And that to me is really encouraging. And not because people are preparing for the end of the world. I think that that used to be my mindset in 2020 when I woke up and I was really shook, right? I was like, oh, it's doomsday. I got to get on this preparedness bandwagon. But as I've become more prepared, I realize it's not about the end of the world. I'm just looking for a little bit more resilience and a little bit more control over our lives. And I think that that's what the rest of you are looking for as well. And this is honestly, it's one of the things that gives me hope. And I think one of the biggest advantages, pardon me, we have today is the ability to learn from other people. Gardeners can learn from gardeners, homesteaders can learn from homesteaders, farmers can learn from farmers, and preppers can learn from preppers. And I think like a mistake that takes one person years to figure out can sometimes be avoided entirely by learning from someone who has already been through it. And again, that is one of the reasons that we have built our platform prepping communities, not because we have all the answers. Surely we do not. Um, but no single person does. And if you haven't joined and you are interested in preparedness, there are like more than 10,000 preparedness postings available, completely free. When you join, the resources are there. And what's really cool is that the topics, they range from everything like natural health and herbal remedies, emergency medicine, food storage, water preparedness, communications to homesteading, gardening, off-grid living, emergency planning, and even practical guides like building a slow sand filter for off-grid living. The goal is not to just provide information to you. The goal is to help people, for people to go to a platform, a space where they can learn, share ideas, ask questions, and just become a little bit more capable than they were yesterday. Because again, I am learning preparedness. It is not just about supplies. It is also about knowledge. And sometimes it's about learning from someone else's experience before you have to learn the lesson yourself. And when you join, membership is completely free. And so that's really what I wanted to talk about today, because I've been thinking about this a lot, like resilience, self-reliance, dealing with problems as they come up, because it can be incredibly frustrating when you're trying to do everything right. We're living in some tough times, but I know that we can get through it. And again, yeah, we got to be resilient and we got to be self-reliant. And every little step that we take towards doing that just gives us a little bit more control. So before we wrap up, if you enjoy like the posting library on prepping communities, please check out Prepper Offline as well. It's our searchable offline preparedness website containing all of those preparedness resources. It's in a format that you can access even when the internet is unavailable, and you can store multiple copies on USB drives, computers, and store them in your emergency kits, your bug out bags, vehicles, anywhere that you want access to that knowledge. And so if you would like to learn more about it, please check out the video that I recently released called What is Prepper Offline? And I'll leave some links below. So before you go, please let me ask you this. Do you think self-reliance is getting harder? Do you think, or do you think we're just simply becoming more aware of how difficult it's always been? And what's one thing that you've done in the last year that has made you more self-reliant? Like maybe you started a garden, maybe you learned a new skill, stored more water, preserved food, joined a preparedness group, or just simply became more aware of your dependencies. I would genuinely love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below. Let's discuss it, because I am learning preparedness. I am a perfectionist, but it is not about being perfect. It's just about becoming a little bit more capable this year than you were last year. So until tomorrow, until the next video, stay prepared, stay informed. Thanks for spending some time with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.